Yeah.
All right, everybody. Hello and welcome to Fridays at 5. I'm Karen Taylor of the Color Vowel Chart here with my co-author, Shirley, Shirley, where did you go? Shirley was just here. She's coming right back, I think. But anyway, we have a lot of us here in the room who've been with Color Vowel for a long time. We have newcomers. We've got all kinds of folks, and we're glad to have everybody. So welcome. Hey,
There
so
she is. Look, there's Shirley.
Shirley, I was speaking your praises when you left the room. And
what did you say? What did I miss?
I said you were my partner in crime for 20 years. So.
I'm going to have to mute myself because the washer is going and I don't need to stop at the middle.
Well, for those of you who have been recently in Fridays at 5, you know that recently Shirley showed us the beautiful paintings. Does anyone remember that moment? The beautiful paintings? Well, take a look. Dun, dun, dun. Ah, I have my own. So Shirley made this one for me. This is my mandala with my words in it. And
that's wonderful.
So I want to thank Shirley right there for that. That's making me happy. Yeah. So, hey, every Friday we come together with a different topic in mind. And, you know, it's not a workshop. This is a coming together. So today I have a few treats and tricks up my sleeve and just things I want to show you that others have done. But the topic is vocabulary, teaching vocabulary and enhancing what you already do or already did with Color Vowel. So for those of you who have been teaching for a while now with Color Vowel, can you try to remember what it was before, before Color Vowel? What did you do in vocabulary? And can we share for people who are new or people who might be listening to this recording, what has Color Vowel done to enhance vocabulary teaching? And then we're going to share some ideas and just really concrete ways that you can get started right away. Can we have a little reflection for a moment? Open those mics. BC, before
I can
Color
go.
Vowel.
Before Color Vowel, repeat, 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 repeat. And now it just makes it easy to help them with their pronunciation. Okay. It's just so much easier.
For me, the big deal is word walls. The word walls are, you know what I mean by, you know, you put your vocabulary up in various categories on the wall. They used to be alphabetical by the first letter. And now they can be by the color of the vowel, and it makes so much more sense, right? Because alphabetical has nothing to do with the pronunciation, really, except maybe not even of the first letter. I mean, look, you put S with SH, you know, and so they're not even pronounced the same. So sugar and Sue would be in the same column, and they don't share anything at all except letters. But the pronunciation on the word wall makes so much more sense.
I'm sharing. I hope I'm sharing. What am I sharing? I'll stop sharing. I'm going to show what I call a bad word wall that Robin might be referring to. If you can see, I'm kind of doing a big share.
Oh yeah, I kind of see it.
Oh Lord, that's not very good. Let me pull up the whole picture. That was kind of bad form there. So, you know, just think back for a minute, because a word wall used to be something like, come on, we can do it. We can do it. Zoom, you can figure that out. Here we go. My favorite bad word wall came from my kids' 3rd grade classroom. This is a close-up of the E words. And the whole word wall was put together in the theme of movies. You can see the movie theme, right? The little black camera and all that stuff. And I just looked at all these words and I thought, what on earth can we do with them? Yeah. So then what's the post? What does it look like afterward? Who has a word wall in their room? Yeah, who's doing something? Yeah.
I just like the there's a focus, and it's pronunciation, but it's something solid. It's like you know, I always do a warmer with like the word because. I choose between 2 things for my kids, and I, you know, it's like I'd rather eat spicy food or mild food. I'd rather eat spicy food because, and I just do it and change the topics every day. But the color vowel, you can take any words and put them into something recognizable, and it's comforting. I know it is to them. They're like, oh, okay, here it is, boink, and we're going to put them into their colors, you know? So
So
that's
a
something-
routine.
yes, it's a routine that's very, very helpful. Yeah.
I think this is my favorite example of what you're describing there, and I'll keep admitting people. This is from Washington, D.C. I think Shirley, maybe you took this, or maybe Mike Connors took this, and a lot of you have seen it recently in my presentation. But, you know, here's a routine wall. It's scrappy. It's not, you know, the neat kind of cookie cutter thing that a lot of the curated word walls are, but it's rather this working board, you know, that you can imagine that this kid put these words where they go, or some other kid, so they can say a word like exaggerate and actually succeed, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
pretty
can
much
I
it.
share my word wall? I have one from like 3 years ago.
Please.
Let's see. Where'd it go? Yeah. See if this works. Can you see this? So just any words we happen to encounter wound up on
with the
the wall, and I used Post-its, and then we would gather up all the Post-its and use the spelling exploration worksheet later, you know. But this way you could put them up and take them down, and it's pretty haphazard. You know, the blue tape looks a little funny, but that's so we wouldn't mess up the walls. And
I remember that you were dealing with a lot of sort of political restrictions about touching the walls, or, you know, what you
right,
weren't allowed to do.
altering the walls at all, but this way. And I've got the you know, the colors with their symbols that I downloaded from the website, and we put them in plastic, you know, paper, notebook paper.
Sleeves.
Sleeves, thank you, sleeves.
You're welcome.
And that way, you know, I wasn't actually writing on the paper. We were just, you know, and each student I would write on a Post-it and hand it to a student, and they would get up and stick it on the wall where it belonged, and they could argue about where it should go. And
Yeah.
and it worked just fine. And we would every so often we would go and do some flooding, you know.
Yeah.
If I could share another picture actually from Robin's classroom. Robin works down here in Washington, D.C. at the Washington Literacy Center. And we do a lot of, you know, when we're face to face, I like to get down there and see what's happening. So this, I took a photo of kind of as an artifact that I just find fascinating. Again, if it's not curated, I'm already less suspicious of it, right? Immediately, the fact that it looks like a working system here. And this is a system, isn't it? You've got, do you want to tell us about that, Robin? Up at
Yeah,
the top?
so what we got, we were doing seasons, I guess. We got spring and winter, and I can't even read what's on the other ones, but
Busy, whisk, dinner, dizzy, this.
okay. So not a topic. I mean, you know, we would do some we might have units where we would do topics, but these are just words that came up that were not
That's
words that they knew. And then below it is this spelling exploration worksheet, and you can see on the left, you can see the spelling with an I wins by a lot, and in the little plastic bag underneath, those are the words that we used to make the worksheet. And so when we were done with the worksheet, we took all the
that's
you know, so we stuck them in a bag, and then
I love this because you have this gets full up on top, and then it comes down and gets put into the spelling exploration, and then they get stored and you can use them again.
right.
That's what I was like pointing to, is like the logical. There's like a logical order that they can see. If I have the color vowel chart up, the teachers expect me to say next, there's a 10-step process, you know, or something, you know, I mean, but if you can see actually, boom, there it is. Here, it goes into these, and you just say the words and they'll say, oh, I get it. Okay. You can see, and the students see that. of course, but the teachers also see it. Other teachers say, what are you doing?
Wonderful. Yeah, so do we have any other just stories of word walls themselves are interesting because it takes just the issue of what does the word look like and how does it sound? And that would be one part of teaching vocabulary. If you have other word wall stories, we're happy to have them. But I'm also interested in the other part of vocabulary, right? How do we keep an eye on what the word means while paying attention to its sound? And so any ideas or thoughts on that?
Well, I did have some pictures on the word wall for words I didn't actually spell. So that gets the meaning, but I didn't always do that.
Yeah, let's take a moment. I wanted to share one thing just to kind of get us started, and because it's nice to have some fun on a Friday for sure. What I'm sharing with you over here in the chat is a link to a color vowel crossword puzzle. This is a purple shirt puzzle. Go ahead and open it and see if you can do it. All of the answers are purple.
Wait, did you say olive? The answers are purple or olive?
Let's see. This is a purple. You should be, I think I just shared this link, right?
I was just making a pun. Never mind.
Ha 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 ha.
It
Okay.
doesn't work in my dialect, but that.
Oh, see, it was lost on me. I didn't even catch it. I just thought you were talking about the wrong color. So it's fun. I love this. Laura McIndoe, found a way and has created a number of these, and they're in the digital library for those who are level 1 trained. Always a nice little, option out there. We also post these on our Facebook page, so you can find these every once in a while out there. But I watched my husband do this, and he doesn't like crosswords because they're not fun for him. But this one, he and I just sat there and did it. It was pretty fun. The opposite of temporary, not changing. Why is this more fun for an English learner than a regular crossword? I mean, I just love casting around trying to think of the purple word. I think it's super fun. The opposite of temporary. Are you still doing it? Is that why you're so quiet?
Yeah, I was doing it.
Yeah. I also like it.
It's like you're flooding while you're trying to think of the answers.
Yeah. Yeah. And I also like, you can just type it and hit return and it takes you to another one. You don't have to use your mouse. Just want you to know that in terms of, yeah, exactly. Freehand unit. Oh, I do once in a while have to like that. University. You can use the tab to move around. Right. So this is neat because it combines not just how does the word sound or how is it spelled, but it's tied to what it means, so that we have that kind of now 3 dimensions of the word so far.
Yeah.
Neat, huh? Everyone's still doing it. I must not be afraid of the silence. You're busy doing the work.
So Karen, where can all of these be found?
These are all findable in the teacher's digital library. So if you are who's got access to that here under teachers in our website, these are just, if you're new to Color Val, by the way, the teacher's page itself is full of resources. And sometimes I even put one of the crosswords here for you, so you can check back. Maybe I'll post one for you. There's Liz. But in another option that's free to everybody or open to everybody is the chart itself. So you can, find the chart and broadcast that in a Zoom meeting or in your classroom. You can make it bigger, right? And then these particular items are in the teacher's digital library. And that's a password protected part of our website for level 1 trained and above teachers. So here in digital resources, if you come down, we've got, there we go, all of these. And so whenever Laura has time, she puts together another one. But yeah, I think these are just, they're really fun.
I like how I mean, for me, of course, I really hear the flooding, and it depends on how fast you are, but you can go through all the words again and hear the sound. And that's what's really cool, is that it just floods. And for me, I automatically hear it and I'm like, yeah, purple, okay. And I just hear
It
the
was,
sound going through
yeah,
my
it was
head.
much more easier for my husband to find the answer in his head because he had a guide for what he's, it's not just all the words he has, it's going to guide him.
Yeah.
Right.
That internal.
But-
It's like Greenwich is red pepper, not green tea. I mean, it's like things like that even for English speakers. I could bring this into a class where, I teach like history class and I'm in there. And for the people who grew up learning English, here in this country, they will, they might even run across some things and say, oh, okay. Interesting spelling.
But can I say, I like that type of activity too, because, well, I teach exclusively accent reduction pretty much. And if I were just to show them those purple words, nurse and university and whatever, they would be able to most of my students would be able to make that purple sound pretty easily. But when you start getting the other part of their brain thinking about the meaning of it, they tend to like forget to think about the way it's supposed to be pronounced. So this is a good way to kind of like inch them back towards not speaking off the cuff naturally, but thinking about something other than what it sounds like. And that's a really crucial step to getting to where it's automatic.
Yeah.
One of the things I really got excited about last week was the that Jeopardy game. That'll get you back to the definition. It was.
Oh, hey, I just posted the link to. Do you remember my my digital version of our drinking game that we came up with at the Chicago TESOL? I don't call it a drinking game anymore, but
What happens in Chicago stays in Chicago, Ryan. You're not supposed to talk about that.
But if you click on the Google doc I just posted, it'll take you to something that is color with tiny little images. This is very much like Liz Bigler's tiny tiny
Menagerie.
visual. Yeah, menagerie, right. So what you do is each player picks an item. Yeah, so green tea, and so you have to guess what that person was thinking of when they put it the picture of the mouth on green tea, and what vocabulary word were they thinking of.
Is it something, I'm going to actually share what you're referring to, so that, and Liz, I'm going to show a picture of your hand. This is posted in my Color Valley community about, gosh, now 2017, like 4 years ago almost. But you can look at these objects and say, well, what color are these objects?
Red pepper.
And it's fun because, first students would be, maybe they'd say, well, that's a blue egg and that's a copper bell. But once we get past that first piece where you say, it's not the color you see, it's the color you hear. And now just look at the internal process of naming these things and figuring out what do they have in common. If I call this thing right here, I could call it a shell, but what if I first called it in my head a conch, right? But then I had egg and bell and elephant, and I'm like, that must be shell, It's like I'm having to fill in the gap with my brain.
I wonder if I remembered to do that thing that I wrote on my hand.
I know. You're like fun with the dog. Well, let's just try. I just think this is fascinating. What color?
Brown cow.
Brown cow owl.
Owl. Brown cow. House.
House. Cottage and owl.
Now we've got.
Put it in the chat if you know what the color is.
Yeah, I guess I'm guessing the dog is a dog. So then we got dominoes. Then I don't know about this. I want to say duck.
Swan.
Oh, a swan.
Yeah, it doesn't work for me, but it might work for you.
It works
Oh,
for me.
swan and frog. Oh,
Dog.
And
This
what
is
did
where I
they
feel
say?
lucky to be a merger, somebody who merges
Yeah.
Olive and Auburn.
No, dog and swan have totally different vowels.
For me,
Wow.
that one's fun. How about this one? Oh, that was easy.
Turtle,
Yeah,
bird.
bird and turtle.
But there's one coming up that was, oh, that's just the boy. Okay.
Well, it's actually a boy that has a toy.
Oh, nice.
Oh, yeah.
Nice. Very nice.
Hmm.
Can't tell what that black thing is, but
Yeah,
It's a whistle. I can tell. I see it.
Ah,
Oh,
whistle.
get a whistle.
And ring.
Yep. So you got a bunch
Now-
of silver.
Oh, and ring. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Oh, rooster.
Yeah.
I love these
Rooster.
pictures. I just found these, while I was thinking about different things to show and tell today. But I just
what's
love
the color, everybody?
Moon.
What is
blue
that?
moon.
underneath
Let's
the
do it together.
rooster?
Blue moon
Moon.
rooster. Blue
Oh,
moon
moon.
Blue,
and blue
blue
moon.
moon, spoon.
Spoon.
We could transition over to writing it. Yeah, great. This is also triangulation, right? We have the thing, we have the sound, and then from here we could bridge over to the writing and the spelling.
Speaking of spelling, the color vowel system solved a huge problem for me because I teach literacy, and there were all these taboo words, the words that we were not allowed to use. We were looking at the Wilson system, and we're not allowed to talk about any of the sight words or any of the words beyond the level of where the students are. So we did a lot of the fat rat is on the ship stories, and that that was pretty boring, and it wasn't what the students wanted to talk about either. They wanted to learn how to write the words that they wanted to use, and it the prescribed method for doing that was, okay, if there's a word your student really needs to be able to read and know, it has to be a sight word, and they aren't even allowed to sound it out. They have to just memorize the whole thing. And oh God, I'm having them memorize 20 words for every word they can sound out, because the most frequent words in the language are the ones that are spelled irregularly. So what do we do about that? But having a color vowel word wall allowed me to have a principled way of teaching those sight words so that they could sound out mostly the words that were less regular in spelling, while because if they knew what the vowel was. And this is the same principle that is in the Color It Out card game. So it made a big difference to my students to be able to interact with the sight words and decode them, even if not perfectly, rather than having to memorize them photographically.
Mm.
It's a huge difference.
Yeah. Hey, I wanted to show another resource. If you like that idea of objects, that we just had we as students were looking at in Liz's hand. Laura, one of our master teachers, has created a website or a Facebook page that's sort of based on the same principle, and it's called What Color Do You Hear? It's a great place for students to go, to send adult students to go, so that they can basically look at whatever the post is, like this one, and you can ask them, well, what words are in this picture, and what color are they? Again, moving beyond visual, instead of visual, it's what color do you hear? So what do we hear here? She started us off with color vowel wooden hook, or this is Skip actually. Hey, Skip, nice job. So this is color vowel wooden hook snooker. I don't even know that game. But what could we add right here? What else could we add? I don't know that game, so I might say.
You mean other colors we could add?
Yeah, color vowel. I might say color vowel blue moon pool table, because that's all is it one word? Pool table or pool table? Pool table.
Two
That's
words.
what I would.
And blue moon Q.
Oh, there we go.
And blue moon blue.
Color vowel blue moon Q ball. or Q?
QUE, yeah.
Oh, QUE. Good, I learned something. Q, really?
Is it?
Is
No.
it?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
CUE.
Para mí parece que. It looks like K. I don't know about Q. Not a
I'm
cool
sorry,
word.
I mean CUE, not QUE.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
I'll fix that.
C-rated.
There we go. All
Yeah.
right. So anyway, I'm doing what the student could do, or if they don't want to learn about hashtags, the hashtags allow us to pull up all of the photos that are tagged with color vowel
Yeah.
wooden hook. So guess what this one is?
Cook.
Cook.
Cooking.
Okay, before we even look at it, there, she already had it. Let's see. What's this guy?
Wookie.
Bookie. Okay. How about this one? Is this more snooker? What is it with you and the snooker? Okay, it was Monica. How about this one? What's what?
Books.
Yeah. So just a really easy way to activate, student interest in vocabulary through the visual or through the original meaning, say the experiential, feel there. And so that's a public Facebook group that I'll put over here in the chat for you to join if you would like. Send that off to your students. We have a lot of student interaction on that site, by the way, so it's pretty handy. What else are we doing? I know, yeah?
Sometimes I do something like that. I'll just put a picture up, a photograph of my travels or whatever with a lot of things going on in it. Just put it on my Zoom screen, share it. And then in the chat, they do that, what color do you hear thing in the chat? So
Okay.
they like that a lot.
Oh, that sounds really, just really simple, really clean, right? Yeah. Good. Well, I know Dan, I've invited Dan to join us. Say hi, Dan. How are you?
I'm well, Karen. Thank you.
Good to see you. Dan was recently in Color Vowel Basics, our level 1 course, and he just took the time, and I just want to say this because it made my Friday so pleasant. He took the time to write me and send me just some pictures of what he's been doing recently. And I'm always happy to receive those kinds of emails. So then I wrote him back and I said, hey, come on over on Friday, which was about 27 minutes ago. So thanks for coming over. What have you been up to?
So I teach 3 days a week. I'm a retired auditor, inspector general, not a teacher, but I started a couple years ago teaching at Crossings in Akron. So 3 days a week, I teach lower level English to adult refugees, Afghanistan, Burma, Congo. Really enjoy it. We were shut down a year ago, reaction to COVID in March, and now I do Microsoft Teams classes. While most of our school probably has failed with the video, we use Teams, we share PowerPoint. My class is growing. We had 11 yesterday. I think by the end of the year, we'll have 20. I mean, it's just really become popular. But I wrote to Karen because one of the things that we experienced last year, I really pushed color vowel. I looked at it, I learned it. We had an in-service talked about it. One of the reasons we actually bought the Intercambio text is because it uses color vowel, and our director liked that. I had a lot of teachers tell me, hey, you shouldn't be doing that. That's not curriculum. You're not teaching. I said, it's in the back of the book. Have you looked at the back of the book? Mm-hmm. So in March, when we were shut down last year, we didn't use Zoom. I started mailing to my students flashcards, lessons. The only reason I could teach vocabulary, I told Karen, was because we had taught and learned in our class the color vowel. So I could send them a flashcard that said mushroom, show the picture, 2 syllables. I could give the corresponding color vowel, cup of mustard, and they understood. So we've continued to do it, or I have in my class, and very popular. We use it every single class. So in a nutshell.
Wonderful. Yeah, no, and the pictures that you sent me were just, I really liked, especially, they're a little small to show, but I don't know, I just thought it was sweet. I'll show it briefly. Just taking students' names. again, I'm going to stick with my idea of triangulation, right? That not only is it the word what it looks like, it's what it sounds like, but it also is a referent to something that's available. Now, you don't see Latifa, but we know that this card only exists because Latifa's in the room, right? When you made it.
Yeah, and one of the things, Karen, so I have those tent cards when we meet in person. They all have their color in front of them. You know, what we found, first of all, is students that have been coming there for years, we were pronouncing their name wrong.
Yeah.
They would tell us, we had a student, everybody called him Elias, and we found out it was Elias. Okay. So that was interesting, you know, several people that corrected us because of the color vowel chart. Right, here's one right here. We found out he was a red pepper, not a green tea.
Yeah. Or a white tie, Elias.
White tie, right.
Right. Yeah. So they just finding a way to organize, again, organize words. And there's, as Skip has mentioned several times, just knowing that there's a system that we're going to do this to the word and it has a place to go and it won't be disregarded. And as Robin said, it won't be put in jail or said, you know, it's not time for that word. So that's huge.
Yeah.
You have a picture of your flashcards. Did you have the word on one side and then a picture of the item object on the other, or the color on the other, or how did that
I
work?
mean, here's a bigger one. Just
great.
You know, Apple. That's how we really started. I say we, but it was really me. How I really started was I had 32 flashcards that I made with common. Most of them were food items, because if they don't know the picture, it's kind of, they have to learn that too. Quickly got them up to speed on that, and then you know, learn the word, learn the color, and it was great. But the flashcards I would send them would have a picture. Oh, this is an example of a game I made in PowerPoint. So we click. Well, I show it on the screen. You click on the words. You know, I'll ask them the question: raisin, grape. They'll click on it. It'll turn around and show the.
Okay, I see.
Yeah, almost like a concentration type game.
Yeah, nice. A check.
So so when you have Apple on one side, do you have you have the picture? Does the picture also say what the color of the word is, like we were talking about with the vocabulary?
Yeah, I don't know.
You have a picture of an apple and then you have a black cat in the corner or something like that.
Yeah, I don't know, Karen, if that's if maybe you have that you could display. I had a couple sheets of the flashcards.
Right, here we go. I can show that. There we go. This was a printable, like a, right?
Okay, yeah, so you would print it would print front and back, but on the top, the other side would show appliances that are silver, and then so they're learning the word appliances. I say it's 4 syllables. It's a white tie word.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, because I could imagine having just like we did with the what color do you hear game. You could cue the word itself as an aid to the vocabulary by, instead of just saying these are all white tie words or whatever, just have a picture of the little white tie symbol in the corner.
And I do that. I think I sent one of those too.
I was wondering about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I was in the class, I really liked the flooding idea. So I kind of do this, I'll call it mini flooding, that I'll show the picture and 6 words, and we'll go over them one at a time. Then at the end, we'll go over them 3 times in succession. And yeah, I was learning as they were learning, but found it very easy, and it really has helped us tremendously.
Hey, so I'm wondering, I've noticed in all of the things we've talked about so far, it's all been very visual. And I think we're assuming about the speaking, of course, but what are some ways that various, that any of us here, are boosting speaking practice, the actual, verbalizing these words that we can see and mark up and categorize? Any tricks for upping student practice in the classroom and maybe even beyond?
Me or others? You're
Oh,
asking me?
everybody. Everybody. The collective you. Joan, I see a hand there.
I was thinking, like if you put a word up, like you have you just put the word up and you, oh no, yeah, put the word up and then
No, that's fabulous.
that you put the color vowel, like this word is, I don't know the color vowels, ready? Okay, everyone, see this word, it's white tie-eye. And there's, where you, I don't know,
Yeah.
kind of challenging them, going backwards with it and stuff.
Mhm.
So, one
So giving
way.
them a cue and then they render the word.
Yes.
Good.
Yes.
We always, one of my favorite games to play is, well, it's a what. You and Shirley introduced me to it, but I slowed it down a little bit for my classes. And what's that? It's a bottle. It's a what? It's a bottle. It's a what? It's a bottle. Oh, it's a bottle. And then it goes around the classroom. And this is something you can do on Zoom if you give them the list of items to assemble ahead of time, and so people pass a spoon back and forth across the
board.
The board, yeah. But then when you're done, then you take all the items. This is something I haven't quite worked out how to do. You take all the items and you assign them to color vowels once they know what the object is and its pronunciation. This is before you even write it down, and then you categorize it by color. I would put the color vowel flashcards out on the table, and they would take their objects and figure out, where to put them on the color vowel flashcards. So then we would flood. So it was a several step process, but it started with pronunciation. Shirley, yes.
Well, when you asked that question, Karen, the first thing I thought of was flooding, and Suzanne asked in the chat,
yeah,
the concept, what is flooding? Can you put up an example that could show?
I can. So in fact, I was going to say, let's say, Robin has said this many times. Robin is in the room, and I find myself saying it a lot, and I know Shirley says it a lot, which is we have to constantly remind ourselves, all of us in this room, that we are text bound. There. It's kind of like a confession. You have to, my name is Karen and I am text bound, meaning we are all, by definition of where we are in our lives and what we do, we have always found power and comfort and solace and fun in the written word. We wouldn't be here if we hadn't. We would be struggling. And so we have to remind ourselves just how tempting and how likely it is that we're giving into the temptation of writing and looking and seeing words before we really give, or instead of giving students lots of practice. And so flooding is one way to do it. And last night, I'm just going to share leftover from last night because it's still here. This is a color vowel organizer from our pure practice session last night. And pure practice is a new thing that we're doing that I just could not get rid of the idea that I wanted to do English. I want to do English with people without any written words and without talking about it. So last night we did pure practice. And then afterward, after 15 minutes of just doing English, and for those of you who were there last night, I want to thank you for your patience because the video was a little glitchy and it wasn't so smooth. But we had fun doing it. And then afterward, we identified the words that came up. And then I wrote them in this organizer. And so what we could do now is we can take some of these, and there aren't that many up in some of these categories, but we've got, a lot down here in the red category partially because the words that are already there help us, right? And so the flooding would be the moment of coming into a color and saying all of the words in that color while using the hand to measure the time and going in sequence. And if it's not that many words, we can do them all twice, right? So we'd start with red pepper, and we'll just include those as words, come right along here, the best, one of the best, and back to red pepper and a second time. Should we try that? And Shirley,
it's got to be one of the best, not one of the best, though.
Right, one of the best, exactly.
One of the best.
Because the line is here. And so since Shirley named this, I'm going to have you lead the chant. And the rest of us can, if you want to talk, you need to mute yourself. Otherwise you can sub-vocalize it. Just move your hands and your lips with Shirley. So we'll all listen to her. Can you do that one for us, Shirley?
Okay. I'll start off by just modeling red pepper, and then I'll go back to red pepper and you just repeat along with me, okay?
Great.
Red pepper, best friend said any bread, best, one of the best. Red pepper, best friend said any bread, best, one of the best.
Nice. So if the magic didn't catch on, when you do this at the rate that Shirley's using, and you're using the hand, it stops being language and it starts just being this, all these different utterances that have and that's sort of the point, is to let go of the particulars and to get into the flow of saying these words. So that's a form of practice.
And can I just, I'm sure it's clear, but that's what we're talking about when we talk about flooding, is putting all these same sounds or same patterns together and just like kind of flooding our oral whatever with it. So
yes,
this is a very lexical oriented, well, I guess it is obviously lexical, but this is a different kind of rule from what goes on in Broca's area. So this is what creates lexical patterns, is flooding. So for example, you can prime people to create irregular past tenses by flooding them with sing, sang, sung, and then you give them bring, and they'll come up with bring, brang, brung, even though the past tense is brought. So there are experiments, about irregular verb categories, for example. So this is where I first encountered the term flooding, was in the psychology literature, and this is a way of concentrating the same kind of exposure that native speakers get over years and years of experience, concentrating that exposure to a lexical pattern for the English language learner in a shorter amount of time.
Mm-hmm. And so I'm going to give, yes, I have a question up here from Linda, or a comment.
Not a question, but my students are studying for the citizenship questions, and they were having a hard time with some of the words, equality, even freedom, where to put the stress and the length of the vowel. So from you, I learned to try to do the chant, to use my hands. And it's wonderful because when you hear equality, freedom, responsibility, I mean, it's a beautiful thing. And then also for teaching words, I use the color vowel chart. Any new vocabulary, if I write it, if we're doing a reading writing exercise, I underline the stressed vowel or the stressed syllable. If I can't type it, I underline it or highlight it in some way. And my students say that really helps them. And then of course we connect it to the color vowel, but even just highlighting it reminds them. And sometimes they'll say, oh, green tea, freedom. So it's great.
Thank you. Thank you for saying that. And yeah, you're right. It's really specific. It's so helpful to underline those stressed vowel letters and not the whole syllable, because then they know exactly where that sound is, right? So that's really handy. Skip.
Also, just I've actually dropped in on a lot of choral classes, music classes, which have the ESOL students thrown in there, and I'm really always just amazed at, I mean, how they sing all the sounds together, and it's just like, wow, this is so much higher than I thought, that you can recognize these words and these sounds, and they're really learning this, and it's just automatic because they're all singing together, or they're singing, part of the class here, part of the class there. And I've done that in a physical space, of course, but hey, that's what I did when I was in regular classes, doing a lot of choral. Yeah.
Oh yeah, your mirror neurons are really getting boosted by that. I have to berate you, however, Karen, at this point, by saying the flooding you just illustrated was still text bound.
It was. And so I thought, you know what, after I did that, I said,
you need to go back to Liz's handfuls of objects in order to be less text bound.
That's
You can
right.
you can still flood using objects, and that way you never see the words.
Well,
Well
that's the choral music, the class, they're not looking at anything. That's the whole thing too, right? They're not looking at any words. They're just
Yeah, if
singing
they
them.
were, it would mess them up. Right?
Exactly.
Liz, what were you gonna add?
Oh, well, I was gonna show an activity that I have. Is that okay?
Great.
Are we
Yes, please.
show and tell? Okay. So I was teaching compound words and how we stress, the first part of the word. So this is instead of stop sign, it's stop sign, olive sock, stop sign. And so we would have already learned all of these, but then to practice it and to have them practice the way that they say it. Can you see my screen right now?
You can. Yep.
Okay. This is Quizlet, my favorite. And I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. So I would say, okay, what is this? And let's see who wants to play. Somebody who hasn't already said a lot.
Okay, not me.
Now, do you want to play?
Okay.
Okay,
So
what's this? And if you don't know, you can look for the word, but what's this?
it's a pencil case.
Right, but I want you to go red, pepper, pencil case.
Okay. Red, pepper, pencil case.
Yeah. What is this?
What's that?
It's kind of hard to see.
Okay. Green tea briefcase.
Yeah, and then I match it. What is this red and white thing?
Red. Okay. And which one?
You can look.
Yeah. And gray day or tablecloth. Okay. I guess olive sock table. No. Go. Gray day tablecloth.
Thank you so much for saying out loud what I want my students to be thinking. And we would have already practiced it, but this is good for online because they can't control the screen. I'm controlling it. They have to say it, and they have to say it right, or I'm going to make them keep saying it. Okay. Book that's used in a classroom now. What's that?
Okay. This one. Oh.
Here are your choices.
Textbook. Textbook. Which
Yeah,
one?
and all of these they're compound words, so we're stressing the first part.
Okay. So red, paper, textbook.
Yep. What about a room where teachers teach?
Okay, and here is a black cat classroom.
Yes, and a meeting for all the people on the staff.
Okay, black cat staff meeting.
Yay, good. Some of them were pictures, so they wouldn't necessarily have to know how to, read it, worry about the text. But it's a way to kind of reinforce them remembering how to pronounce it the right way, so to speak.
It's a lot of fun. Well, I'm now following through on, I'm glad you berated me, Robin. I now have a visual flood, and that's also for Suzanne. Here we go. And this is courtesy of Liz. I take no credit for any of this, but since I have these objects, in fact, I really give credit to Liz because she sent me now a couple of years ago, just a beautiful little package with a lot of these guys in it. And then I've been adding, but we've got a couple. First of all, what color do you see in all these images?
Mustard.
All right, so we got mustard. So let's go ahead and I'm going to put them in order. Let's name the first thing, somebody like now, which object do you want at the top of the list? Truck. Okay, the truck is first. Okay, there's the truck. It's first in my screen. What's the second object in my list?
Mug.
Okay. Third object in my list.
Bunny.
Duck.
Bunny, duck, glove, and I'm going to keep the button on there because it kind of disappears when it's on my table. So we'll put it last. Fine. Let's see if we can get it to work. It's a little tight, so I'm going to go this way. I'm going to make two columns. There we go. So now we've named them, so I'm sure everybody's heard it at least once. And so this is, I can take out my nice image cards and say these are all a cup of mustard, words. Are we ready to flood? You can either sub-vocalize with me or you can mute yourself if you want to talk. And we'll go left, right, left, right, left, right. You ready? Here we go. A cup of mustard, truck, mug, bunny, duck, glove, button, faster. Truck, mug, bunny, duck, glove, button. One more. Truck, mug, bunny, duck, glove, button. Ew. What if we mix them up now? I think this could be fascinating. I think if we're like doing vocabulary acquisition, this is interesting. I had a hard time doing this just now because it's not written.
Go in a circle.
Ooh, fun. Okay, and then I do have one more thing to share as we finish up, so don't go away yet. Okay, this is a circle now. We ready? That button's hard to see. Let's start with button. Ready? Button, truck, bunny, glove, duck, mug. Button, truck, bunny, glove, duck, mug. Ooh, that's compelling. Anybody feel the way I do, or am I just kind of wacko after a really busy
No,
day?
it's turning into a tongue twister for me.
It is. I'm really having to work hard on pulling out the words.
What I do in my class, if it goes too fast, is I put cup of mustard truck, cup of mustard bunny. Cup, so I do the whole thing, but that does take longer.
I had mug is difficult. I keep thinking cup. I don't know why. It's weird.
Well, it's also a cup.
Yeah. So.
Getting attached to the duck because it has a magnet on it.
Okay.
All right. Hey,
Karen, I was just thinking you could easily take that and turn it into a chant. You know, like the kind the ones where you have like it's not in front of me now, but button mug.
Oh, sure.
Button mug truck, button mug truck,
There we go.
button mug truck. Or, you know,
Okay.
you could be a little bit more like a chant.
Yeah. So we've got something like this. It's vertical because my camera is, but we've got this follows the classic. I have this right here somewhere. The 1, 2, 3 chant. You know, it's a 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. So it's button, mug, glove, button, mug, glove, button, mug, button, mug, button, mug, glove. It's more fun with multi-syllable words, that's for sure. But, you know, I agree with you. That's great. Other ideas. My glove is overexposed. It has the cutest little thumb, though. And Liz, thank you for sending that along, too. Yeah. Well, hey, I wanted to finish up with another form of non-textual flooding that I think gets back to what Robin was just describing about the brain. And this goes back to last night. Who was able to make it last night to pure practice? Some. Okay. And so you all, I want to thank you for being patient because it was a little frustrating. So I have the direct line at this time, and I think it might work better. But I thought I might just play one example of pure practice. First of all, to let everybody know that this is open to everyone. This is for students especially, but also for teachers. I've had a couple people come and say they want to use it with their speech therapy students that are not language learners. And so it's starting to spread the word. And I think we had almost 100 people last night in the room. And it's free and it's open. So that was super fun. The one I'm going to share is from, which one? I was thinking of a back building one. So here we go. This is called, I have to slow it down. Hold on. Normal speed. There we go. All right. This is back building. So I'm going to show this. Hold up. I'm going to be watching you. And if somebody says this doesn't sound good, I'll stop it and we'll just do it. But it's kind of nice when I've already recorded it, because then I don't have performance errors and you can see what's really happening. Go ahead and mute yourselves and follow along. And what you'll notice, if it works, is there's a point where if you just move with me and speak with me, that you'll kind of lose touch with the language that we're doing together. And it will become noise coming out of you that matches me, that no longer has real meaning. And then it might snap back to having meaning and then kind of fade into non-meaning again. Do you think that's accurately described, Robin?
unmuting myself. Yeah, it's like brain calisthenics. You know, left brain, right brain, left brain, and you can feel it. You can feel your brain switching over. It's kind of disorienting.
Yeah.
It's it's like being on well, not that I would know. Being on LSD, it's a trip.
What we imagine being on a trip. So let's give it a try. And if it doesn't, now I feel like we are talking about that because we like, if you don't feel it, it's okay, but be open. So let's see if we can get ourselves all to flood and let go of language while using it. Here we go. So this is back building, where we take a word, we build it from the back, and then we go forward with it, and we unbuild it again. Today's word is a green tea word, green tea. It also features a gray syllable, gray, day, a, but it's mainly a green word. Ready? Yate, 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 yate. She ate, she ate, she ate, she ate. Appreciate, 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 appreciate. She ate, she ate, she ate, she ate, yate, 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 yate. Now let's use that word in some common phrases. I appreciate it. 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 I appreciate your offer. I appreciate your offer. I appreciate your offer. I appreciate your offer. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. I appreciate your kindness. I appreciate your kindness. I appreciate your kindness. I appreciate your kindness. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. There. So that's, all verbal vocabulary and some context for it. Any thoughts on, did anybody flood? Did anybody feel it happen? Anybody leave their brain?
Woo.
Robin leaves her brain all the time, so I'm not surprised it worked for her. But that's just one, we do this for up to 15 minutes to sustain, that sense of what word is it going to be? Or, what's this next utterance going to be? And so that's a little taste of flooding. Yeah. Any other final thoughts? We're talking about vocabulary, and I think we've kind of pushed it into new places, right? That it's easy to think of vocabulary as a list of words or what they look like. And now we've come to this place to think about how they sound first. From this pure practice moment, by the way, if you're a teacher who's having your students go, like Laura McIndoe's been doing with hers, you can take the words and the phrases and then now deconstruct them for spelling, grammar, collocation, formality level. Who would you say this to? Who would you not say this to? And so forth. So I think there's a lot you can unpack. Yes.
Karen and Suzanne is raising her hands.
Hey, Suzanne.
Thank you. I was the one asking about flooding because I'm fairly new to the color vowels. But I'm a musician and an ESL teacher. And the thing that I love is the chanting and the use of rhythm. And I have used this in a sort of call and response way, but I haven't done the flooding part like you just did. That is to say that the students are speaking with me. So I'm going to try that tomorrow. But here's my challenge is that my students' internet connection has a lag and I can't establish the rhythm, and it frustrates me, not only as a teacher, but as a musician. So that I'm not sure how to overcome that.
Well, I think what you can see that I just did is you have to relinquish the desire to hear them in the moment. Meaning we give that up, but then you trust them, and I can watch you. I could see that Shirley was doing it, and I could see that Lynn was listening. Okay, so I watched everybody's face. It's not in, I don't see them moving in the same exact moment either. So I have to give up that visual desire as well. But if I see them doing it, I know that now is like, and then the other thing is I did the research. So I had now record herself doing that in real time with my video in real time. And I got to then watch her video, and it's fabulous. We're going to be doing something with that soon. But it showed that she, without me monitoring her, was still hitting all the beats. And I basically don't worry about the half-second lag in Zoom. As long as you ignore what your eyes see. That's a little tricky.
It is tricky.
Yeah. But I let go of that a lot. I look into the lens and I don't watch. I just come down and like look at mouths, and then I go back to the lens. And that keeps me from getting distracted by the movement lag.
Got it.
I think that the participants will still get the mirror neuron effect if they're watching your mouth, Karen. It doesn't, they're not getting it from everybody in the class because everybody's on a different timing, but I'm not sure, but I think it'll still activate that part of the brain. So I hope.
Well, and I think what I'm finding, and I mean, we're getting now into sort of the design of these things. By the way, over in the chat for everyone, I've just put a link to our training calendar, and we do have the next session of Pure Practice posted for March 4th. It's first and third Thursdays. And we have our other free events coming up. So Fridays at 5 is every Friday. And those are the two main kinds of free events, but we have some others too. We also have new level 2 workshops starting up in March, and then we'll be offering Color Val Basics again in April. So just a little bit of information there. Okay, what was I going to finish with? What were you just saying? Flooding. I don't remember anymore. Huh. Final comments? I lost track of myself.
You've given me a lot of good ideas of how to layer things. I was doing things sort of in steps, almost linear, like we would talk about the vocabulary and then we would color it out. And I love the idea of sort of using that hint. This is a purple word and this is what it means. What do you think the word is? Guess the word. So sort of layering that allows it to be a little more complex. I love that idea. I'm going to use that.
And Nadu, you just reminded me of something I wanted to mention. It's a great cap actually, and then we should all go, be with our families. But it's that there's a lot to be said for, we teach vocabulary that we think is important, right, but just as much, we need to find opportunities to let learners visit their existing, I'll call it Rolodex of vocabulary, that if they don't have an opportunity to practice, will just sit back there unused. And that does two things. It sits around unused and it decreases confidence that they actually know English, because I studied these words, but I don't use them, right? That kind of sense. And then where are we with learning if they lose that confidence? It also then can just drag down everything else they're learning. So find those opportunities. Say, I want you to think of a green adjective right now. And that's our exit activity. Green adjectives, anybody? You can put it in the chat. You can say it out loud. Suddenly I can only think of like grateful or thankful.
Freezing. Freezing cold. Yeah, freezing.
Freezing. It's freezing. Okay. Freezing. Mean, sweet.
Serene.
Pleasing.
Serene.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. I think I just misspelled that. I did. Unbelievable.
Hey, phonetic spelling. It's where
There
the
we
color
go.
vowels.
There we go. Hey, thank you so much for joining us. Come again. We love having
nice
you
one, this
here. Every Friday at 5, we're here. And next week, let's see, what is next week? Anyone know off the top? It is already Ask the Linguist is next week. Unbelievable.
No,
Dr. Barr.
that's not the last. Is it? Is
It's
it the last
February.
Friday?
It's the 4th Friday.
How about that? Okay, hey, ask me questions. If I'm sure you've got burning questions to ask me.
2 things next week will be Ask the Linguist, which is Dr. Barr's monthly feature. And the other is that it'll be a preview of her special level 2 workshop, Phonological Awareness.
Oh,
So
that's going to be so much fun. I can't. Sorry.
Yep, she's excited. And so if you know, this is perfect for those who feel like they want more awareness about intonation, about stress, vowel quality, and what else? I mean,
Oh, the mysteries of English spelling. Oh my God.
so because that's phonological awareness too. So thanks again. Take a look at our training site and we'll see you again soon. Okay. Thank you. Bye-bye, everybody.